I feel like we're doing counseling on YouTube.
Thanks, people.
Hey everybody, what is up? My name's Mackenzie.
And I'm Jonathan.
We are husband and wife, and we'd like to welcome you to TerreDice.
And today we're going to talk about what it's like running a business together, how we are still married today.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, we run TerreDice Games, which is a business that we started during COVID, and it consists of this YouTube channel, which we get to review games with all of you and talk about different other board game aspects, but it has also involved developing our very first board game together, and hopefully many more to come, some developed behind this one. So it has definitely been a learning process. It's always been a dream of us to own a business together, but it has had its ups and its downs and its challenges, and we're going to tell you what we learned and what goes well and what didn't go well, and hopefully you guys can find this useful as well. All right, if that sounds like something you want to learn about, then just keep watching. All right, so I feel like we're going to be spilling the tea on things. So those of you who are watching, this is the truth, the nitty gritty truth. Okay.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. But before we go into that, I want to say overall, I think it has made our marriage a lot stronger.
Yeah, a lot more fun too.
Yeah, a lot more fun. So do you want to start from the beginning, kind of how we started up the business?
Yeah. We played a lot of board games. So I was a lot more into board games, I think, when we first initially started this. And Mackenzie was a lot more into being an entrepreneur and starting a business. She was always like, we should make a travel business. We should make it this. We should make it that. And she had all these great ideas. And I wanted to play games. And she had this devious plan to say, why don't you make a business out of it? And then I'll let you get more games.
I was like, I'd let you buy a lot of games if we could make a business out of it. So it really came from where we both were. Like what he said, I really wanted a business. He loved games. I was like, let's do this. And my love for games has really blossomed in this. And I just have fallen in love with the whole business aspect behind developing games as well. So we started the development of the games. We started our YouTube channel to start just learning more about games from a development perspective, as well as meeting you guys. And from that, I think it's really important to have each other, to get to know each other's, what your job should be. I think each person trying to be involved in every aspect is not going to go well. You have to have where someone, one person is going to be I own this part of the business, or I own this part of the business, and make that person really feel valued in that aspect. Would you say?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I think that's where, when we first started, I had used Photoshop and Premiere and all of these things before. I wasn't an expert by any means, and now you know a lot more about, especially, I know nothing about Illustrator and InDesign, and you figured out Photoshop, and you've become just as good at editing videos that now that's a big piece of what you do. But that was something that I was I can edit and do this and do that and do this, and I didn't really leave a lot of room for us to both be doing things when we first started.
I think at the very beginning, you wanted to kind of have more control, and I was nervous to take some ownership and control over things.
For sure.
So I was working through those things at the beginning. But now, as far as development at Bark Avenue, we both work on development together. But I like handling the thematic side and how do these mechanics make sense. And Jonathan does a really good job at making it mathematically make sense, which you both need those types of people to develop a board game, I would say, or any business in general. I would say I'm more business mindset and you're more what?
I'm more sort of methodical, mechanical, how do you actually okay, you have this business idea, how do we execute on that and actually make it work and make sense?
What's a time that you found it really he doesn't know I'm asking you, what's a time you found it challenging to where you hit we hit a speed bump and conflicting and conflict of interest, and how did we move forward? Yeah,
I think it was it was really hard for me because we started a YouTube channel and I really started enjoying the YouTube channel,
which is hilarious because
I'm so not
at the beginning I was yeah, and I had to convince him,
I'm very introverted. Yes. We started very scripted. Every one of our videos had the concepts written out, if not the actual words we were saying written out. Now we just jumped in front of this camera with hardly any script.
Yes.
But that's just because we know what we're doing, and we know what we want to talk about. But I think like I grew to really enjoy the YouTube side of things, mostly because I got to play new games all the time. I got to talk about them all the time, and like how I was so excited about how cool these mechanics were. And then you would basically tell me like, but we have to work on Bark Avenue. I'm not going to be part of this business if we don't also design our game. Mm-hmm. And I very much am the kind of person to start it, come up with 60% of the idea, and then leave it. So the only reason that this exists is because of Mackenzie. Because she said, no, I'm only going to do this if you also keep making this game with me. And so I think that was really hard for me to reconcile with in the beginning, because I didn't realize we would be capable of creating a board game. Like,
yeah,
this is awesome.
I think he was annoyed at the beginning because it kept showing up. I'd be like, because I think it's important when you have a business together. It's not like you are going to have an overhead boss that says, okay, team, we need to meet at this time and this time. No, like when it's only you two, you have to make those designated times. And I think that is a huge point in working together and how we can be successful is setting aside times where you are talking about the business, where you are coworkers talking about it and working through it, just like how you would do at your regular job. And then you set aside time when you are a married couple, when we hang out with our daughter, when it's just the two of us. So I think having and being consistent with that time. Like I think that's for finishing any project, but especially when you're married, you have to have those separations. Otherwise, it's either you're not going to get anything done with your project, or you're going to not get anything, like build up your marriage. So you need to have those separations. So I would knock on his door at like 4:00 every day with our Bark Avenue meetings, and I'd be like, okay, here we are. And we didn't know what we were doing. But time over that, we were able to build it. And
I had a really hard time with too. You'd be telling me like, okay, this is what we got to do. And I'd just be like,
oh yeah, you'd be like,
we're not married right now, we're business partners.
Well, we're still married, but like I wanted to be serious about it.
There's a lot of truth to it, because I realized like, man, if I don't let this be a space where we work, then we lose that time, because we have so little time where we actually can work. We have to treat it as like, we're in go mode right now, and in 30 minutes we can hang out and watch TV.
And this might come across differently, like on camera. I don't know. But I'm the person that's very much like, go, like we need to do this, keep on track, like da da da. And
it's
so,
true.
So I think it's very much if we don't do that time, for me personally, where we do that, I will bleed over work into what is designated as like our like Jonathan Mackenzie husband-wife time. So separation, I think that's a big tip. What other things have you found useful?
I think the biggest thing is, so right now we're file prepping for Bark Avenue, meaning we're getting all of the final print files ready, and like we're finding errors that like I made errors, you made errors, and it's like, oh my gosh, how did you make this typo? We've seen this 20 times. And just like the stress can really get to you. But like you cannot treat this like you would like you've had to talk to me about, like, I cannot treat this like I would with my coworkers, because I'm a manager at work and I can give very strict feedback of like, you have to fix this, like, because you're responsible for the outcome here. And you have to like take that down a notch when you're like in a married relationship, because ultimately we're a team fighting against the problem, that like we really have to be in that together. And we know that we have our best intentions is because we own this business. Like we both want this to succeed. So it's a little bit different than like when we also have bosses and like we also have like these other things that matter.
And I would say, into that, like in a workplace you would be more straightforward, but I think in a workplace you also come with that aspect of like, I don't know, I don't want to say kind, but like kindness, like softening behind it, because it's like someone you're not in a personal relationship with, so you're not going to say it as, but then like our conversations outside of our business would be very direct and straightforward. So it's trying to also not make like criticism also direct and straightforward. So it's like this weird like softening. Does that make sense? And I would say to that end is like also building each other up when things go really well. Like I tell Jonathan all the time, like he's my coworker, and I need to also be told sometimes, that was really great. Like, you're doing an awesome job, because there's nobody else to like say like yay. So I think like building each other up, saying, hey, you did really great at this, and like that motivates me to keep going. Or wow, I'm really impressed that you learned how to do this when we literally knew nothing at the beginning on how to do things.
Mm-hmm. And that's been a learning experience for me, because to me, the fact that I've even just entrusted you to do that activity and I'm not like double checking it is proof that you're doing such an amazing job. But it's like it's hard to remember that, and like always. Yeah, so we always have stuff to work on.
I feel like we're doing counseling on YouTube.
Thanks, people.
Thanks, everyone.
No, but I think this is meant to also just be like a word of like, if you have thought about making a business with your partner, like it is absolutely possible. Yes. You absolutely can do it. It's just, you have to know what you're getting into. And
I think, like stepping out of that and not taking things personally, but also speaking kind to the other person and we're not perfect. We're still learning. Like we had an argument last night about like some prep file, but like it is like, it's acknowledging those things and then moving forward to be like, okay, what is going right and what is going like wrong, and trying to build that and fix that. I'm always a big proponent of like, if things aren't just like we're hitting a roadblock, to take a step back, a breather, and come back to it the next day and readdress it with a fresh mind.
Now, you also said, like, so you wanted a business, I wanted to play board games and talk about them, so that it's convenient to work together. I also like making games, it's fun. But you didn't not like games. You liked games.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's really important. It can't just be like they like business, so they can like a board game business. You have to find a topic and an interest that you both will enjoy, because like had you not liked board games, none of this would have worked. And so I think like even though you weren't as crazy fanatic as I am, and you wouldn't have 250 games if it was just you, like I think you had to really, really enjoy what we were doing for this to work.
I enjoy it like that, and I think it helps that I think it works in a business when people have two different mindsets about approaching it. And I think for any business, like you need to have like you can't have clones of each other. Like that's like just like how we don't like every single game. And I think that brings us like things like one of his favorite games is not, I don't really care for that game. And I think, but we learn different things about design that we're both able to contribute to make ultimately a better game and like a better business. What else has been useful?
Yeah, I think that's the main stuff. I think just like being honest and upfront about what your intentions are, why you're doing it, like why are you willing to start this business?
Yes.
Making sure that they're aligned.
Yes, and like I would say like, how do you deal with it like financially? Like because you're gonna have to like talk about like upfronting your own money at the beginning, and then like how do you like, I would really make sure you're just both on the same page. Like for the finances for this, you really have to both be doing it together. Both be like, yes, I think this is going to be a purchase that is going to benefit the company because X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
And we've made a lot of decisions over the years. Like we don't have a new camera yet. This is still a camera that's like 10 years old. That's 1080p. And I think that's just the stuff that we've decided what's important to us and what's not, and how much we're willing to risk and bet on these different things. And we'll get there. We'll get a 4K someday.
Yeah. I think like the secret is just is communication and really trying to hear out the other person. And like knowing that the other I think another aspect is knowing when the other person has reached their limits and they need a break. I think we both have reached points where the other person like just really wants to go and has like something they want to get done, but the other person just is like really burnt out, and you need to acknowledge that and like give them that space, because I think there'll be different times where like one of us is like really into the business and maybe the other person's like having a harder time. And I think those things need to be acknowledged, because you never want the other person to get burned out. So I think like being like, hey, do you want to go do like something else tonight? I know we were supposed to work on Bark Avenue, or we were supposed to do this for the game, or whatever your business is. Why don't we go get some ice cream instead?
You can't burn out your colleague because you can't hire someone.
You can't hire. So
that's a huge one.
Tricky thing.
That's a huge one for sure. Yeah.
But I think those are our tips. If you guys have any questions about how we run our business or any other topics you'd like us to talk about, we're also on this journey with you. So if we learn more or different things about how we run a business, I would like to make more videos about this. But I hope you guys found this useful. Do you have anything else to say, or you feel good about it? And if this has made you interested in our game at all, it's a dog walking game on the streets of New York where you're a competitive dog walker. I'll put a link down below where you can go check it out. We funded on Kickstarter last June, and we're actually getting ready to lock in the shipping orders in the next 2 weeks from when the date. 2 weeks from this video comes out. So you can go check out all the information below. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can know whenever we put out a new video. And we'll see you next time.
Happy playing!